Everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. It's Saturday. It's a beautiful Saturday here on the West Coast. And I'm live today a little later than normal because every month I have a meeting with my team. We are the ink and paper stampers. And so it was fun to get together. There wasn't many of us today, but those that attended hopefully enjoyed it. And if you'd like to find out more about my team, just let me know. I'm happy to share that with you. We have a good time and we like to stamp together. So today was my team meeting, and so I'm a little later than I normally am. But what I thought I'd share with you today is the new stamp set. It's actually a new bundle called Warm Welcome. This is only available until the end of September. It is a pre-release out of the upcoming January to June mini catalog. And it's a pre-release because this is one of the bundles that Stampin' Up! Is suggesting for the World Card Making Day coming up next Saturday. So if you haven't registered, it's a free event, a craft along event with Stampin' Up! Is putting on. You can register by going to my online store, and you will find the World Card Making Day event that you can register for. And I believe the cutting instructions are there. They recommend one of 3 bundles, and they give you the cutting instructions for all 3. So it's a craft along event. And this is Warm Welcome, and I decided I'd pull it out and use it because I bought it for the event, but I thought I'd make use of it today. All right, let me switch over to my desktop and we will get started. All right, let's shift things going. There we go. All right, so this is the Warm Welcome. It's kind of a fun stamp set and set of dies. So it's got the door, which of course there has to be a die to cut out that door so you can have an open door. So it works like that. There's also a kind of a textured door that you could use as well. And then some great sentiments and stamp sets and dies to cut all of these out. So this adorable little cat, some really pretty fonts and sentiments on this one. So I'm going to make a card. My neighbors are moving, unfortunately. So we had a farewell for them last night. And so we will have new neighbors moving in next door at some point in time. So I'm going to make my card thinking about a card that I will take over to the new neighbors to welcome them to the neighborhood. All right, so let me move this out of the way. So if you're joining me, don't forget to leave a comment. I'd love to know who's joining and where you're joining from. If you're coming in through YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Oh gosh, my brain went there. Subscribe to my YouTube channel so you get notified when I go live. All right, I am going to use Night of Navy, and I just want to make sure. Yeah, no, it is. So my card base is 4 1/4 by 11, and I'm going to score it at 5 1/2. And as always, folding on the score line and folding towards the raised line or the mountain. So just gives you a much better crease, and we will burnish that. Okay, so I'm using Night of Navy because, hey Betty, because my house is actually a dark navy, so I thought this was kind of appropriate. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the dies and I'm going to cut the door like this. So that's going to kind of be my focal point of my card. So I'm going to cut a door opening in my card, but I'm also going to, actually I'm going to cut the door opening. The actual door, I'm going to stamp on a piece of basic white cardstock and then cut it out separately. So let's take that. I'm going to stamp it in Memento because I'm going to do some coloring. So when I color with my blends, I always want to stamp in Tuxedo Black Memento. So we're just going to take, and I'm going to hopefully leave myself room. I don't know if I did or not for the sentiment. All right. So the door actually goes that way. And what I should have done while I was, oh no, I will cut that out. Okay, there we go. Okay, so let's do some coloring first. I am going to color. Now I'm going to have a white door. My door is white, so I'm going to have a white door, but I'm going to do the around the door in Night of Navy, just the trim. So I am really not blending. I could use my markers for this, but I just really love to color with the Stampin' Blends. So I'm going to just color the frame of the door in the light Night of Navy, and I'll leave these middle panels white. Oh, I am going to emboss my card base, the front of my card base. Well, actually I've got a layer, using the brick and mortar embossing folder. But when I do that, I want to make sure I've cut out my door first. So if you've ever tried to do embossing with an embossing folder and then cut over top, if you emboss it first, you will end up with your embossed image or your raised image flattened if you emboss first and then cut out, because you're running it through the embossing folder. So I always try, when possible, sometimes you can't not do it, but I always try to cut out first before I do my embossing so I don't flatten that image. All right. I'm not doing a very good job of coloring, I have to say, but maybe you can't see how much I'm going over the lines. This is going to get cut out, so hopefully it won't be quite so noticeable on my card. All right, so this is the light Night of Navy. And then I'm just going to take the dark. My doorknob is going to be dark, just so you can see it. And then the inside trim, which actually I think is white on my door. But that's okay, it's going to be dark. Night of Navy. And then the trim around the door, we're going to do Night of Navy as well. Again, you could use your markers for this. You don't have to use your blends, because I'm really not doing any blending at all. We could have done this ahead of time, but I didn't think of that. It's been a busy morning. Hopefully it's nice where you are as well. It's just a gorgeous day here. Okay, now I'm going to take this and cut it out using this die cut for the door. And again, I just you can use Post-it note tape or washi tape or Post-it notes, but I'm just going to kind of put a Post-it note tape over top of it. Oops, not right there, because I want to cut the middle of my door out. So we'll just put Post-it note tape right there. And then I'm going to put my door frame, my opening for my door that's going to get cut out. So as I said, this bundle will only be available till, I believe, September 30th, and then we'll come back once the January to June mini catalog comes out in, I believe, like January 3rd or 4th. Okay, so we're going to cut our door out. All right, I'm going to just leave my machine here for a minute because I want to cut. So this is going to be, oops, this piece of Post-it note tape is really on its last legs. Sometimes you just have to decide to throw it out. Okay, so that's going to, there's my door. But what I want to do is, before I actually emboss my front of my layer, so I've got a piece of Night of Navy that I've cut 4 inches by 5 1/4. So this is going to go on like this. I want to put this opening here so that I can cut cut my door out again. So I'm just going to position that, and you can kind of find the groove and just position that in the opening, and it won't cut your door opening again because it's right in the opening of it. So let me cut this out. And then we can take this layer and emboss it. Now you could use, there's a few embossing folders that you can use if you wanted your layer to look kind of like a house front. So the bricks and mortar is the one I'm going to use. Oops, just about dropped my machine. You could use the timber one if you wanted it to look more rustic, almost log cabin-like. So there's a few ways to make your layer look house-like. Tear that off gently. Okay. So now I've got my door opening and my door, and it's going to go on like this. And now I'm going to take, like I said, this is the bricks and mortar embossing folder. So I'm going to have my bricks and mortar going horizontally. So I'm just going to take, and as I said, I always try to do my cutting first so that I don't flatten my embossed image. Getting my workout, bringing my machine in and out. Okay, so then we put this through. When you're using putting an embossing folder through, make sure you always put it through so this opening is towards where you're running it through, or the fold. Don't run it through sideways so that the fold is on the side. They recommend that. It hasn't happened to me in a long time where the embossing folder actually kind of rips in half, but they recommend it going through this way to prevent that. Okay, so now I've got my house piece looking with the bricks and mortar. Now you probably can't see that, but what I'm going to do is I like to use the white craft ink, the pigment ink, with a sponge dauber, and just pick up some ink and then run it over, and you can start to see the bricks more on this when you do that. And it almost makes it look a little bit more kind of antique-y, like older bricks. And it just kind of pops those bricks. You can do this with other embossing folders as well. And you can kind of do some, because some bricks on houses are whiter or more different colors than others. So I'm just kind of, there we go. So this is the Whisper White or white craft ink. When you get this, if you buy it, it comes uninked. So you will get the uninked ink pad plus the bottle of the pigment ink. It's thick and kind of goopy, so give it a really good shake. And then you ink it up yourself. And the reason they've done that is because when they used to do it as a pre-inked pad, sometimes it would arrive making quite a mess of the products that you bought. So they now let you do the inking, so you don't get it all over. It doesn't go all over the place as it's being shipped. Okay, so there's my front of my card. Let's see. Okay, so now I want to put something behind this. So I've got a piece of basic white, and I just cut this. This is 3.5 by 4. So this will just fit behind my door. And what I want to do is I want to do some blending. I don't want Night of Navy. I actually want Balmy Blue. Let's see, I've got to grab a Balmy Blue. Where is my Balmy Blue? Here it is. Got it ready for a project. Okay. Couldn't find my Balmy Blue because it's sitting in a pile waiting to do a video tomorrow. Okay, so I'm going to use my blending brushes. And I'm just going to, actually, before I use Balmy Blue, I want to use Daffodil Delight. I want to kind of have it look like a bit of sun. So I'm just going to put a little bit of yellow in one kind of corner of this so it's a bit sunny, and then we'll bring in the balmy blue. So I'm just kind of adding some color, and I missed it. I try to start off of your cardstock, whatever you're coloring, so you don't get kind of those darker spots like I did, but it's okay because part of that's going to be covered. So it's just going to be a bright sunny day, kind of like it is here. Although I kind of got it quite dark on the one side, but that's okay. There we go. So this is going to fit through my door. So I've got a bit of sun, and then there's my door like that. Now let's take, and you can pop this up. I'm going to just use liquid glue to adhere this gently. Try and just get a little bit of liquid glue on that side, and then this adheres down with that opening, kind of right around that opening like that. Okay, and then I'm going to take and use Stampin' Seal, because I just find Stampin' Seal easier when I've got a piece like this that I want to kind of just position. That's pretty good. So I'm going to put some Stampin' Seal just across the top and across the bottom, and just put this on like that. So it's on the back. There we go. Now let's see, what am I going to do? I'm going to do a welcome, and I also want to stamp this. These are hands with coffee cups, because I thought that was kind of appropriate. So I'm going to use my tuxedo black and just stamp that on this piece. And then I've got this extra piece. So I'm going to stamp the welcome, because I don't think that'll fit in there. So we'll stamp the welcome there. And there is a die that will work perfectly for this welcome. Hopefully I have left enough room for it. Always using my scraps up. So we'll put that on like that, so it's cut in the center. Cover that up. And there is also a die that will cut out these hands with the coffee cups, and I will use a little, hopefully that Post-it note will actually hold that in place. There we go. So I'm just going to take these off and cut them, since I've got it over here quickly. There we go. Now I will say that these are somewhat, this whole bundle, a little fussy. So if you're not into fussy cards, the stamp set is still a really great stamp set with, because you can just go ahead and stamp these images and color them and make a beautiful card without worrying about all these little dies. I have to admit, sometimes I just am not into all the little dies, but this just kind of seems perfect for the new neighbors. Okay, so that's going to go there. And I'm just going to take and color these coffee cups. This is the light night of navy. Oh, it's tea, actually. I shouldn't say coffee, because that's a tea label right there. Okay. And then we'll do the sleeves in the light. And then maybe we'll do, since it's striped, we'll add the dark in. Like I said, you can do all sorts of detailed stuff with these if you want. So we'll just add some dark stripes. There we go. Okay, I'm not going to color the hands, but I'm going to just put that right across like that with just a glue dot on the ends. Probably could have tucked that right underneath and had it, but that's okay. We'll just do that. that. All right, and before I put that on, I have got some linen thread because I just thought the linen thread would be pretty with the Night of Navy. A new one, let's find the end. There we go. So let's just wrap this around a couple of times, and we'll tie a bow here on the left-hand side, maybe 3 times. Get it tight. Like that. So if your bow ends up loose, use a post-it, not a post-it, a glue dot to hold it in place, the twine, or the bow, the middle of the bow. Just hold it, it holds it in place. And I'm going to put a glue dot underneath there just to keep that down. If I can find my glue dots, and I know they're here. Yes, there they are. You can also use the tweezers that come with the embossing kit. The tweezers are amazing for holding your ribbon in place. Let's just put that down. There we go. There's a bow. Trim that. And now I'm going to use dimensionals. So these are the black dimensionals, and you may not even have seen the black dimensionals. Stampin' Up! Has black dimensionals, which are great when you've got dark cardstock. They come in a combination package of both the regular size and the minis. So I'm going to use black because I've got the Night of Navy card base. A lot of dimensionals. There we go. So this now goes on the card base like that. And then the last thing I want to do is put this welcome label on like that. And these are the rustic metallic dots. So let's just use a couple of these. Like that. And maybe we'll use one. Oops, where did it go? There we go. One for the doorknob. Perfect size. All right, and then we need one stamp sentiment on the inside or something on the inside. I don't know if they like cats. So I don't know what stamp set. It's hard to do when you don't know. Let's just use this little heart. And we'll just stamp some little hearts down in the corner using Night of Navy. There we go. And then this can adhere onto the inside of my card. So a little bit fussier for sure when you're using all these little tiny dies or individual dies, but I think it's worthwhile in the end. Like I said, if you're not into these fussy cards when you're doing lots of cutouts, then maybe what you'd want to do is use just the stamp set. Right, there we go. So if you haven't seen this, it's called Warm Welcome, and it is available right now until the end of September, and then we'll come back as part of the January to June mini catalog in January. So I hope you enjoyed the card. I will be back live at my regular time, 12 noon Pacific tomorrow. So I hope you'll be able to join me. Again, if you're coming in through YouTube and haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're interested in joining any of my Facebook page or group, those links are underneath this video. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me. Happy stamping. Bye.